If an actor has not done their homework, their 99%, their preparation, if an actor has not done their story analysis or their emotional analysis or their focus, then a gap occurs, and within that gap, your insecurity takes over. Your insecurity is going to fill the gap. Your insecurity is another way of saying your negative ego. It's your worrying about yourself, about your performance, about your worthiness, about your reason to be there. It becomes about you. Your insecurity exists because you haven't done your homework. But the irony is that the reason why you didn't do your homework is because you're insecure. You are indulging your fear of your intelligence or lack of, your fear of your emotionality or lack of, and your fear of your connection to another human being or lack of. It's your fear in the first place that caused you to not do your homework. So here's the irony of acting. Actors come to acting for all sorts of reasons, but one of the major reasons they come to acting is because they're trying to discover, what is this thing called life? Who am I, and what does it mean to be? To be is really the question of everything. I am. One day I won't be. What does that mean, that complexity of life? So we come to acting, and then as soon as we start the processes of acting, what do? We run as fast as we can away from the process of life itself. Why? Because life is scary. It's scary to think, to research your intellectuality, to dig into your intelligence. It's scary to be emotional, to live that fully, that vitally. It's scary to get that vulnerable in your focus to somebody else, to deal with conflict, to deal with compassion. Life is scary. I am. One day I won't be. To be or not to be. Those are scary questions. That's really what acting is all about. Remember that fear? I'm on the diving board and I know the little girls have jumped off the diving board and I know that the water's in the pool, but part of me goes, ooh, and I have that animal fear. Or that fear of, I know the actor's gonna catch me, but I have an animal response and I don't wanna fall back. I have to override that fear. That fear is natural. That fear, your insecurity, is natural. Your insecurity is beautiful. Insecurity is the natural state of humanity. It's the natural state of nature. You're genetically encoded to be insecure. Back 70,000 years ago, imagine there was a early Homo sapien Neanderthal cross, our ancestor. And that ancestor had not evolutionarily acquired the genetic coding for insecurity. They were really confident. They thought they were awesome. His name was and walked onto the plains of Africa thinking he was great. And nothing bad's gonna happen to him because he had no fear. And whammo, a lion ate him. Behind the rock was shaking and shivering, and that Neanderthalic Homo sapien proto-human went back to the caves and procreated. That's our ancestor. We are the children of the insecure. If you look in nature, all animals are insecure. It's the natural state. It's survivalism. You are genetically encoded to be afraid. It's what keeps you alive. Your fear is natural. I know that I'll be okay jumping off the diving board, but I'm still afraid. I know falling back into the arms of the actor that I'm gonna be caught, but I'm still afraid. That fear is natural. Knowledge is the key to overcoming the fear. I've done all my homework and I can surrender to the scene, but I still have that surrender line, and that surrender line is a line of fear. Your insecurity is natural. Your insecurity is beautiful. Your insecurity is human. We are all insecure. It's a beautiful human trait. Think of it this way. Your insecurity allows for your vulnerability. Your vulnerability makes you sensitive. Your sensitivity allows for compassion. Your compassion is the parent of empathy. Your insecurity makes you an empathetic, connected human being. Your insecurity, your fear, is a major part of your passion. You are a passionate person. You are a human being. You are afraid. It's totally normal and it's totally beautiful. The point is that it cannot keep you on this side of the preparation result line. I override my fear and I override my insecurity to become character and story. And how do you do that? Knowledge. The more knowledgeable you are about story, emotion, and focus, the more possible it is to surrender to the scene. So the irony is the reason why you didn't do your homework in the first place is because you're insecure and scared of life. So there's a gap between you and character, and insecurity shows up. Ironically, that insecurity, it starts to feed on you and you backward spiral and you can't surrender. Know the scene, be the scene, do the scene. Know the story, be the story emotionally, do the story. Focally, knowing, being, and doing allows you to override your natural fear. And we will talk about this in full detail in Chapter 4 on focus and overriding the ego. But that is what is meant by surrendering to character.